Yeah. I don't know what is very interesting. Your Excellency the President, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen. I want first to begin by putting this meeting here in context. As you know, me and His Excellency the President had a meeting sometime last year. And we came up with what's called a MOU. And that MOU has 9 points. One of them was corruption, fighting corruption. So sometimes last year, we had decided that we were going to convene a national conference on corruption. That we were going to charge the Building Bridges Initiative to convene it. Later on, we thought that if we have the Building Bridges Initiative doing it, it will be seen as just Uhuru, Raila, more like a public relations exercise. We decided that we allow the private sector to be the conveners, that we would ourselves come here just as participants and listen to the people talk about corruption. And that then we would also just make our contributions along with other people. Unfortunately, yesterday, we had to be out of the country. That's why we're not here. But I came here very early, only to find that most of the contributions were made yesterday, and that now we are actually just concluding. So I had some few points that I wanted to make, and I'm going to make them very quickly so that they can also go into record of this very important conference. I say most African societies have no word for corruption. In our mother tongues, people who take what is not theirs are called thieves. Occasionally, we refer to such people as wakora, crooks, conmen, but they're generally and simply understood to be thieves and called as such. That is what we call a person who tricks you of your land, who takes your cow, uses flowery language to get money from you, who charges more than the real cost, or who hides part of the proceeds for personal gain. No matter which Kenyan society you ask, such a person is called a thief, and people are warned against such characters. As children, our parents warned us against being seen with so-and-so, against marrying in such a family, because they are thieves. They are bad people. They were rejects in society. Over time, there has been a systematic laundering of this crime, its perpetrators and its proceeds. We launder them in church, at social events like weddings, at harambes, and during times of tragedies, sometimes caused by the crimes of the very same people. We view those who steal from us as achievers and as real men and women struggling with life. Those who steal from us and who then give back partly out of guilt and partly to buy our admiration and silence are seen to be generous or development conscious, even when we know they are not. We welcome them to social and religious events with open arms and cheers and roll out the red carpet for them, but frown at the chicken thief and look for tires to lynch them. Why have we changed and made stealing something whose nature and dimensions are difficult to understand and whose real name we refuse to pronounce? How has this impacted on our war on this crime? Still on the issue of attitude, there is some sympathy and reverence we have developed for corrupt people, the thieves. We kind of feel sorry for the big shot who has been taken to court for stealing billions using the pen or through the electronic bank transfers, while we feel nothing for the ragged man accused of stealing a cow or a chicken. That person does not get bail in Chief Justice's court. Aende kabisa. The ordinary citizens look sorry, the police officer looks sorry, and even the judges look sorry. You have contributed to this problem as a society. We need to end it as a society before we bring in the government. And the issue of attitude features strongly on our idea about the government. We seem to believe that the government is something alien or institution that grows money on trees, and that whoever steals from government money has not stolen from us, because the government's money is somebody's money. In fact, such a person is seen as a hero who has conquered some enemy. Yet the truth is that the government has no money of its own. It's only our taxes. For every money stolen from the government will most likely raise more taxes or cut down on services provided to us. Then there are our institutions, the courts of law, the anti-corruption agencies, the police, etc. There's every indication that the thieves do not sleep as they look for ways to steal. They use the stolen money to hire the most crooked lawyers or buy judges and other officers in the chain. We are witnessing very clear cases of collusion in our courts, with investigators and prosecutors. Consequently, we are witnessing a trend where suspects rush to court to stop the DCI and the DPP from arresting and charging them with corruption. And then the courts are granting such suspects their wishes. This is curious and disturbing. I'm not sure whether a chicken thief out there can go to court and get such a favorable ruling. If the suspects feel that they should not be arrested and be taken to court, and the judges agree with them, what are we supposed to do with those suspects? When a man who has stolen money meant for drugs in a local hospital asks judges to stop his arrest, and the judges agree with him, what are the mothers whose children died for lack of drugs supposed to do? I'm equally not sure you can tame graft when you allow those charged with it to be out on bail and return to their workstations, cleanse or interfere with the records, then return to court a year later. What kind of thief, with his or her senses intact, would return to office and safely guard documents and contact they know will be used against them? I am not sure that we are keen to get to the bottom of the problem, or we are just going through the motions. Finally, there is the issue of time. How long should one corruption case take to start and to be dispensed with? Is it a year, a decade, or a generation? Societies have stemmed the tide against corruption, and those that have insisted on dispensing swift and severe punishment were kind of shock and awe. Such societies understand that the corrupt who go unpunished or who take too long to be punished become heroes of sorts and continue to undermine the values of society and pillars of the state. It is my hope that our experiences as shared here will lead us to a permanent solution and not another conference on how to deal with thieves in suits. I want to just give 2 examples. You remember here, about 5 years ago, we had a visit here by a head of state from Korea. President of Korea was here. She went back and she was found to have conferred certain favors to a friend of hers. She was impeached by Parliament, charged in a court, like Justice Maraga's court equivalent of Korea. And she's serving a 25-year jail term in Korea. Could that happen in Kenya? Not only in Kenya or in Africa. Some drug lords, suspects, could not be found guilty in our courts here. They were out on bail. And they were taken to America. And there they have been there in remand for 2 years. That the right to the innocence before found guilty, notwithstanding. And there in America, they have been able to cooperate and have a plea bargaining, and they have been able to actually tell it out, all in America. Why is it possible there and it's not possible here? Where people tried in absentia in Jersey Island, found guilty there, that we're not able to find them guilty here. We're not able to expatriate them to go and face trial, yet we are demanding that the money should be brought back here. Contradictions. So we must bite the bullet and go that extra mile to deal with this cancer of corruption. The Parliament is also accused. Parliament gets about allocation of 2% of our total revenue. It employs only 1,000 people. The judiciary employs about 7,000 people and gets 0.5%. 46 billion against 15 billion. And then they're saying that they are not adding themselves money. They're adding themselves money for sitting allowances. Mr. Speaker, I was being economical with facts. Didn't they say that they did not want to recognize the Salary Review Commission, that Parliament as an independent institution has a right to raise their salaries the way they like? And the same thing also happens with the county governments. Over 70% of the revenue that is devolved goes purely for recurrent expenditure, with very little to show for development. This is also another form of corruption. Seating allowances. Every day you find them fighting, I've not been put in this committee, I've not been put in this committee, I've not been given overseas trips, benchmarking, and how do they call the other one? And bonding. That's where our public money goes. So we need to face this directly and openly and deal with it. This is when we are going to be able to slay this dragon of corruption. Your Excellency, let me tell you a story that I was told when I was Minister for Roads and Public Works in my other early incarnation. This is a minister from Nigeria for roads and public works who went on a tour to Malaysia. There, on invitation. So he was taken by his host, taken around the country, shown the highways that they have constructed in Malaysia. And then in the evening, he was treated to dinner at the residence of that minister. There, he found a nice mansion, a swimming pool, and nice sofa sets, and dinner sets. So at dinner, so he asked his host, "How did you manage this house?" The host took him to the balcony and showed him, "Look yonder. Do you see that highway there? Yes, 10% here." Two years later, it was the turn of the Malaysian to pay a return visit. When he went to Nigeria, he was taken around the roads. He saw roads were potholed, some of them untarmacked, and very poor condition, very poor state of affairs. In the evening, he was taken to dinner, and he found a palatial mansion, Olympic-sized swimming pool. The sofa sets were imported from Britain. Most of the chinaware were golden. So he asked his host, "How do you achieve all this?" He took him to the balcony. And so, "Do you see that highway there?" The Malaysian could see nothing. He was told 100% here.